I have the front matter file for my book open here, and I'd like to make a table of contents, but I want to do it for the whole book. In this case, I've already thrown away the book that I created earlier in this chapter, so I'm going to go create a new one quickly. I'll go to the File menu, choose New Book. I'll give it a name, and then click Save. Now I'm going to click this plus button and add all the chapters of my book. Because the cover and front matter file was put out of place, it renumbered it incorrectly, and it kind of messed up the page in the background there. So I'm simply going to select that and move it to the top. Now the page numbers are right. That looks a lot better. Let's go to the next spread of this document by pressing Option Page Down or Alt Page Down, and then move the panel out of the way. I'd like to put my table of contents here in this text frame. And you can find the Table of Contents feature under the Layout menu, right down here. Just choose Table of Contents. When you're using the Table of Contents feature, you need to tell InDesign what paragraph styles to look for. I want InDesign to find all the paragraphs in my book that have the chapter title paragraph style applied to them. So I'm going to scroll through this list until I find that. There it is, chapter title. I'll select it and click Add. I also want to find all my subtitles, so I'm going to drag back down and choose Subtitle and add that. Right now, this table of contents will only find those chapter titles and subtitles within this document, but I want to find it throughout the entire book, so I need to go down and turn on Include Book Documents. That checkbox is only available when you have a book panel currently open. All right, let's try this out. I'm going to click OK, and InDesign goes out and looks through all those documents. Takes a little time here, and it creates the table of contents for me. It also alerts me that there are some text frames in this book that are overset. That means there's some text sticking out the bottom of some frame, and do I want to include that too? Sure, let's go ahead and include it. I'll click Yes. Then it finishes up the table of contents, and it tells me that it created it successfully. Great, thank you for sharing. Click OK, and you can see the table of contents here in that frame. But there's a problem here. Yes, it got the chapter names, and yes, it got the subtitles, but it applied the wrong styles. It actually took the paragraph styles from the chapter titles and the subheads and put them in here. That's not what I want. I want InDesign to use my special table of contents paragraph styles. I've already made those, and you can see them in the paragraph styles panel. There it is, TOC 1, 2, and 3. I want InDesign to use those in my table of contents. All right, I'll close that panel and go back to Layout, Table of Contents. Let's try this again. This time, I'm going to select each of these styles in the Include Paragraph Styles list, and I'm going to specify an entry style. For chapter title, I'm going to choose TOC 1. Then for subtitle, I'm going to choose TOC 2. Now this means anytime InDesign finds a chapter title and puts it into the table of contents, it will automatically apply the TOC 1 paragraph style to it. Same thing with subtitles and TOC 2. Now, this won't change anything on the document pages, the actual chapters in the book. It only changes the styles in the table of contents. I can see here that I have Replace Existing Table of Contents turned on, and that means when I click OK, it'll throw away my original and put in the new one. Let's click OK and see how it does. Goes through all those documents, asks me if I want the overset text, sure, and then it tells me that it updated it successfully. Well, that looks a lot better. Now, there's only one thing I see wrong with this table of contents, and that is the tab leaders go out to the wrong place. But even worse, if I change the width of this text frame, everything breaks. That's because the table of contents is using tabs instead of right indent tabs. I love the right indent tab feature, which I talked about in an earlier chapter. Let's go ahead and fix this. I'm going to set this back to the proper place, and then I'm going to go back to Layout, Table of Contents, and I'm going to click the More Options button. There's a number of dialog boxes in InDesign that have more options. I always like turning those on because I want to see all my options. You can see that when I did that, InDesign gave me a bunch more choices. For example, do I want the page number after the entry, before the entry, or maybe no page number? No, I just want it after. The main thing I'm going to change here is between entry and number. Right now, it's set to this weird code, ~T, and I happen to know that means a tab. I'm going to delete that and put in a different code. But actually, I forgot what the code is, so fortunately, InDesign will type it for me if I click on this little pop-up menu to the right of this field. There it is. I want a right indent tab. I'll choose that, and it types it ~Y. Now, you'll notice that I did this when the subtitle was selected in this list up here. I need to do the same thing to chapter title. Those are separate. So I'll choose chapter title, come back here and change that T to a Y. I remembered the code that time. And then I can click OK. For the last time, I'm going to click Yes here. And for the last time, I'll click OK, because now we see the table of contents looks great. All those numbers are flush right in this text frame, and even if this text frame changes, they all stay flush right. Now, of course, most people see this table of contents feature and they say, well, that's just for books. And sure, it can do books, but this feature is really powerful. It lets you build a collection of any kind of paragraph. For example, you might build a list of advertisers in a magazine, or a list of catalog items, or a list of figures. Anything that you've applied a paragraph style to, you can collect with this feature.